8 lessons for my biggest up level and identity shift yet. If you follow me on socials, or if you follow me personally and know me, you would have seen that I have gone through the biggest transformation this year, and honestly just in the last 4 months as well. And I want to share with you some of the things that I've learned, some of the things that I've been doing, because I don't even recognize myself, and I've built myself up from the ground. The things I value, the way I present myself and my style, the things I'm interested in, the way I live my life, my whole reality is so different. And it just really shocks me coming from the places I've come from. I've done videos on the past of my experience in Australia, and I've talked a lot about my past relationships and a bit about my childhood and challenges that I've experienced in life with trying to start businesses and things like that. And it has been navigating issue after issue, and I'm just so grateful for it all. It just blows my mind that I was the girl calling Lifeline. Lifeline had to ask me to stop calling so often. And when I was in my first relationship during the pandemic in this little town in Australia, I just got all my self-worth stripped from me. And before that, I was quite a carefree, happy person. And after years of being in that, I just got into this state where I was constantly threatened by other women, constantly feeling not good enough, hopping on my knees, begging for forgiveness for just tiny things, promising I'll do better next time, and I just want to be accepted, and please don't kick me out, I'm trying my best, on my knees begging to a man. And I've done that to 2 men. Just so scared of living on my own, because I didn't think I could be independent. I didn't know how I would go in a foreign country not having my partner. So every time we would break up, because we broke up 20 times, it's restarting this trauma of my childhood, and you're constantly trying to be accepted and fix it. And it was just a whirlwind. I wanted to give up on life. I've talked about it a little bit before, but I spent months and months at a time just drinking myself to sleep with red wine out of the bottle and Valium, mixing it together. And I lived off peanut butter sandwiches and coffee for months. So being plant-based as well, I got very malnourished, and it takes also months even to recover from an iron deficiency. So I was just eating peanut butter sandwiches and coffee, and had no will to live and carry on, and I was locked out of my home country. It took me 11 months to make friends once I moved to Australia as well, and then learned to set my first boundary, which was good, because people had just walked over me my whole life, and actually been able to step back and be actually no, that's not okay, I'm not going to live with that. And then moved to Gold Coast with $50 to my name. I'm a risk taker. And then all of the other stuff, having another relationship, which I thought was the one, and then that ending was the double whammy. And that was last October 2023. And once again, I spent 5 months crying every day, multiple times a day and night, on the phone to Lifeline at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, having hyperventilating, panic attacks, freaking out. I didn't know how to be okay with this reality, and I couldn't accept it. And self-worth through the floor. I felt like a piece of shit on the bottom of a shoe. And yeah, let people just walk all over me. I've always been like this soft girl, like trying to be accepted. And then seeing where I am now, so then that was last October. Took me a month to move out of that house, and then the next house I was only there for like 3 months because they couldn't have a dog. So they moved into this one. So I've just been like moving and moving, hadn't lived anywhere for even a year since I was 16, living at home with my parents. And then just going on this journey to the point I am so bold, and I dyed my hair blue, and that's also related to communication and finding your voice, and it just reminds me to be bold in my decisions. Like, even when I got my job at a gym reception, that was last December, I had like a bit of regrowth and then a bit of pink left over on the bottom of my hair that was kind of like faded pastel. So I tied my hair in a bun, so it was like mostly brown, and I was like, oh, it's hidden away, like hopefully they don't see it, or hopefully that doesn't mean I don't get the job or I won't be accepted or something. And then when I went for another interview, I just showed up like blue hair, not even tied up, just curled, like this is me. And yeah, it's different, and it's not maybe still like accepted by society, but it's like, this is me, take it or leave it, because I'm not changing for anyone. And just seeing the way that I have stood up for myself in multiple occasions this year. And I used to be the girl where, like, if you went to the supermarket checkout and something was like the price tag was incorrect, like $2 more expensive or something, I would have just paid for it because I would have been too scared to like call someone over or like ask them about it. And yeah, I've just had several run-ins this year where I've put my foot down and I'm like, no, this is the way that it needs to be. And having integrity and just knowing who you are and what you stand for and your values, and just being able to voice it and being able to back yourself, I am gobsmacked. So yeah, I wanted to share with you 8 lessons from my biggest up level and identity shift yet, because it has been a wild year, probably the best year I've ever had, and also in terms of personal development. But yeah, probably the best year of my life, and yeah, I've just become unrecognizable. So let's get into it. So if you don't follow me online already on socials, you can head to TikTok or Instagram and follow me at Cassie Amber Wellness. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube or podcast wherever you're listening as well. I'm so excited to have you here, and I do lots of chats on personal development, feminine healing, plant-based nutrition, and a few bits about bodybuilding and things like that, and intuitive eating as well. So yeah, welcome. Also, I have created a free Higher Self 2025 checklist. So if you want to go through some of the reflection things to see how you did this year in 2024 and what changes you need to make for next year to actually create a year you can be really proud of and real positive change, whether it's physical and digital decluttering and the reflection and future scripting, you can head to the description below, and I've made that for you because I was going to make it for myself, and then I was like, oh, I think other people would really enjoy that as well, so you can download that. Number 1 is it's only a competition if you choose to enter the race. I had a run-in with someone earlier in the year, and I'm over it now, but I still just put this in my idea to talk about in a video one day because I think it's an important topic still. So someone came to me trying to tell me that they are more successful than me because of all the money they make, and their path is like way higher than mine compared to the pathetic little things that I'm doing, and basically just running my life path into the ground. And I just had the best comebacks ever because I've gone through so much growth. Like, even last year, I was so dysregulated. I had crazy road rage. I smashed up the vacuum cleaner because the plug came out of the wall. Like, I was so dysregulated and constantly trying to keep up with someone else and please them and be enough for them. And like, I felt like I couldn't trust myself. Coming out of 4 years of narcissism, you don't actually trust your own thoughts because you don't even know what you think anymore because of the manipulation, and you question your own reality. So then last year, when I was going through some things, I needed a lot of rest. And I've talked about this before. Sometimes when you finally feel safe, you get exhausted because it's the first time in your life that you can actually rest and feel safe and have peace. So moving into that dream house last year, that was the first time I'd had like a safe, peaceful, quiet home. And I was just exhausted. And there's several different reasons for it. Like one could just be because I was malnourished from all the things I was going through before and wasn't eating optimally. So it just takes a while to build up your base level of nutrients. Number two, some of it can be like fear of success. So if you are wanting to make change, which I did want to, your body will like do these different things to kind of slow you down and keep you in the same spot because you don't feel worthy of achieving the goal. So that's more identity work. And number three, your physical symptoms are related to your mental health and emotions. So whatever kind of thoughts you could be having, like a fear of moving forward or not letting things go and different things like that, that manifests in your physical body and gives you physical symptoms like pain, fatigue, tightness. So there's many different reasons, but I just needed rest. And women also function differently to men, and we have times of the month where we can go hard and times of the month where like we can just only sleep and eat chocolate. So someone came to me like, yeah, and I'm over it now, but it was this whole spiel like, oh, I'm more successful than you, like all the things you're like doing, like your little DJ gigs, it's like nothing compared to the trajectory that I'm on. And my response to that was, there is no race, because say someone might be making more money, what I was valuing at the time, I was like, guess what I learned to do this year? I learned to lay down without freaking out, because earlier in the year I literally had an incident where I passed out at work in the cleaning cupboard and they had to come and find me. And it's like whenever I would rest, because someone expected me to like keep up to the certain level that I physically couldn't do, every time I try to like lay down to have like a power nap or something, I'm like, oh my God, you don't deserve to be doing this right now. You don't have a reason to do this. Like, what's wrong with you? You've got all these things to do. Like, and your mind's like beating yourself up, thinking about everything you need to get up and do. So that's not even a recharge nap. You can't even rest. You can't even reset, like laying down even for 10 minutes or like sitting on the couch to like reset and recharge. Every time I sit down, it's like, oh God, you gotta get up. So of course, like I get burnt out. So I was like, well, this year I learned to lay down without freaking out and having a meltdown over it. And all the other things that I've achieved, like stepping into my power and living in the house with these girls and building my DJ career and just working on my self-love. Like there's so many other areas of measurement. And if one person is doing better than you, because you might compare yourself to people you see on social media or people you went to school with or other family members, everything can always change. So one person might get engaged early and get married and have kids, and then you're just like traveling or something and you're like, oh my God, I'm so behind. But then they might have a divorce and then have to be a single mom, and then things are kind of going crap, and then things might start going well for you. And there's like so many different areas of measurement depending on what you even value. like money is one of them because it can equate to freedom and security, but there's also like connection to your spirituality, spending quality time with loved ones, pursuing passion projects and hobbies that actually light you up, your health, like actually taking care of yourself, because sometimes if you're really busy making money, it depends if it's more passive or not, or like how many hours you have to put in yourself. Some people can neglect their health because they don't have time to go to the gym or cook the meals because they're just doing these ridiculous days, and then that affects them over time too and makes them more stressed and everything like that. So there's so many different areas of life. There's not one way to say someone's more successful than another. It's more like who is happy and satisfied. And then if one person is, then that's great. There's enough to go around for everyone. It doesn't mean like if one person's doing well, then like no one else can. That's a lack mindset. So thinking abundantly is thinking, oh wow, this person is doing really well in this area and it might be a little bit triggering to me, but you can also use it as inspiration, like, oh, what can I learn from them that I can implement into my own life so that I can achieve that for myself as well. Number 2 is you can die any day. I was walking with my friend and we're walking the dogs and she was like, yeah, we could literally cross this roundabout, trip over, crack our head open on the concrete and die right now. And it sounds so funny when you put it like that, but that's literally true. Like anytime you leave your house, you could get hit by a car. Even in your house, like the stove could catch fire and the whole house could burn down and you could die right like tonight. Like you can die at any time. So start living like it. Take the risk, build the life that you want to build without worrying about other people's judgment, and treasure the precious times with people, and even just notice little things in your environment around you. Like I always notice like cool little geckos or skinks, or like get excited about cool birds. Like when I take the rubbish out at work, I always talk to the birds and stuff, just like taking in the world around you and making the most of your time here on the planet, because you don't know how long it will be. Number 3 is the world won't burn down if you rest. So I chatted a little bit about my like my need to be productive all the time based on my own values of what is, I guess, what success is based on, and acceptance, and also other people's opinions of me. So going through that this year has been crazy, and just like regulating my nervous system as a whole and implementing those little things, it'll actually pay off in the long run just to be calmer. And even on Friday, I had a 24-hour day because of work starting at different times and different appointments and just things I had to do, and my sleep schedule was a bit stuffed up from the day before, and I had a 24-hour day. I had to pack my handbag, my other bag with all my clothes, my gym bag, all my meal prep. Like I was up at 2:30 in the morning like getting ready, and like old me would have been freaking out about that, like, oh my god, you got all this stuff to do, and like how are you gonna get through it, and like what if you're late, and like what if this doesn't work out, and what do you need to pack, and just like sending myself into this overdrive state. But I was just super calm. I was just getting ready in the morning. I got to each place like 10 minutes early and kept my energy up and was really calm throughout the whole thing, and it all pays off rather than like freaking out and like doing all that. Like, you know, when you're in a rush to do something and you can't even do the task because you're just like pacing on the spot, like, where do I start? Instead of just like being able to do it because you're actually calm and can actually think thoughts and like put the tasks into action. So yeah, when I've had to learn to rest and recover and recuperate, when I lay down and when other people's voices come into my head, like, oh, are you doing enough? Do you even have a reason to lay down? What's wrong with you? Why can't you keep up? I literally have to say, is the world going to burn down right now? if I don't get through my to-do list? No. Okay, so you can do it. But it's like practicing discernment, like not like doing it to the point you're not achieving your goals, but sometimes we just need to rest. So yeah, that was my lesson number 3. Had to go and make a little pick-me-up coffee. Number 4 is going into solitude accelerated my life tenfold. There are a few reasons for this. Number 1, I was like seeing this guy earlier in the year, and it just got to the point where like I was going into bodybuilding prep, and I just noticed how much time that takes away from you. And when you do bodybuilding, you have so many things to tick off each day, which was very new to me coming out of that extreme burnout period. I basically just recovered from that, then went into prep. So that was a lot. But I don't usually track food in day-to-day life, so I was like learning to track food again. Got a meal plan for my first ever time because I've always been against it. You've got to be getting your steps in, going to the gym, practicing posing, and working and running a business and all the other things you've got to do in your day-to-day life, cleaning your own house and things like that. And then I just realized like, I'd like drive over an hour, I say on like a Wednesday night or something, and then you eat different food, like you'd get Thai takeaway, but I couldn't do that now because I'm on prep, and then like maybe not have the best sleep because the bed isn't comfy, or like for some reason, or you just feel unsettled, or like the pillow would cramp my neck and I'd have a seized neck for like 2 days, and then drive back to my house the next morning in morning peak hour traffic, which would take like a whole hour. So I'd come back to the house like, because we'd go out for coffee, and then I'll get back here at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Then I'm like, oh my God, I almost need to just like have a rest because the drive exhausted me so much. Then I'm starting my day at 11 a.m. and then like half the day is gone. And then it kind of just timed up well that ended, and I went into prep and my car broke all around the same time. So I didn't want to use my flatmates' cars to like go do things that weren't the supermarket, gym, or going to work. Like I didn't want to just drive around in their cars. So yeah, I just went into solitude and went all in on my prep and got into the best shape of my life and developed discipline and looked at my habits and looked at my excuses, and that was just freaking awesome. Like just seeing the results of that. And the weekend before my bodybuilding show was when I got my dream DJ gig as well, and that's also when my DJing blew up. So like every weekend for like 2 or 3 months I was booked straight. So during the week I'd be like finding new music, practicing my mix, recording it, listening to the recording at the gym, like finding new music while I'm out walking my dog again, listening to the recording, uploading, and like it was just in this cycle, and I just had honestly like a pretty good time doing that. And then even now the show was done, and then I just had like a bit of recovery from that, and then I just got a car, and I've still just been kind of keeping that same solitude. Like I'm slowly easing out and starting to socialize again and starting to talk to people again and like be open to normal life. But I'm also really keen to go all in on my business and make serious moves in, even right now in December, even over the Christmas New Year's break, and in 2025, because I was resting while everyone else was working. So I'm like ready to go now. So I don't want to just be like hanging out with people all the time, or like going to all these events that I don't need to be at. I actually really love my alone time, and you have so much time to reflect and work on your shit, and it's just really skyrocketed my life. So yeah, I highly recommend. Number 5, the people around you can make or break your success. Earlier in the year, I moved into this fairy house with the girls, my 2 best friends. One of them is my best friend since since we were 11, and we grew up in this small town in New Zealand. And then the other girl, she's like the direct in between of both of us, and they even have the same birthday, and we all look the same, and we all have coloured hair, and we're all DJs, and we all dress the same, and we're like the same size, like we swap clothes and stuff like that. It's just been so crazy how that's all happened. But that has had a huge impact on just how I live my life, and it's very normalized for us to hype each other up, because often in friend groups, you know how it's like normalized to tear each other down, like, oh my god, I can't believe my thighs look like that, and then the girl would be like, oh my god, yeah, like I hate my eyebrows, and it's like almost encouraged in some friend groups. So we really hype each other up. Like even today, I woke up from a nap, I like fully fell asleep in the afternoon, and went to go feed my dog and went into my friend's, she's got like her own little house area, and yeah, she was just DJing in her G-string, and I walked in and I was like, I was so dazed out from my nap, I was like, wow, she looks so hot, wow, that music sounds good as, like, dishing up my dog's food. And then I told her after, and then I was walking around the house naked because I was like, I don't know, getting dressed or like doing the dishes or something. And I walked past the other girl and she's like, wow. And I was like, oh, what? And she's like, you. So we just hype each other up like that all the time. And say if there's people around you that you want them to make some kind of positive change in their life, whether it's like eating better or working towards their goals, you can only get so far with like telling them. And I think what has been a more effective thing is just leading by example. So my friend just started her YouTube channel as well, and I'd been wanting to get back into mine and be more regular with it. And just like when we'd go walk the dogs, I'm like, oh, what are you doing today? And she's like, oh yeah, I filmed a video. Even just hearing her say that is like, oh yeah, I need to film mine as well and get back into the routine of it. So just being around people that are like doing the same thing as you, or just have the same kind of values and on the same path. And even just with our lifestyles, like none of us want to work full time. We'll have several little jobs and we'll make money from doing like several side hustles or whatever, but like it doesn't, I don't know, because it's not like I'm the odd one out for like not working full time, like I've got this weird life or something like that. Like all of us pursue our passions and create businesses and brands and do these things, so it's very normalized in our world. Also, all of us are pretty healthy, like we stay active, we eat really similar, so just being around people that are doing that kind of thing really, really rubs off on you. Number 6, the answer to everything is to get hotter, smarter, and more successful. And that might sound weird, like, what do you mean? But whenever I've gone through these things in my life and gone through breakups and things are just going wrong and I'm angry, I just go to the gym and lift weights. And then you grow your booty, get huge legs, get toned and become a muscle mummy, and then you just love what you see in the mirror each day. And it just like helps everything. And when you're training and working out, you eat better because you go to the gym and you don't really want to eat a donut. Like you can still have treats, and I still eat chocolate and I still eat donuts and things like that, but especially coming home, you're like, oh, I really feel like a nourishing meal that's going to optimize my gains and something that's high in protein. And it just slightly impacts your choices. So dress how you want to feel. I have been changing my style a lot lately. I've never known anything about fashion or style or accessories. I only own like 2 pairs of earrings, including the ones I'm wearing, 3 necklaces. Like I'm not really like a style or aesthetic person. I used to just chuck on a gym, like an active wear set for the day, but I've been more intentional with like trying to discover myself in that area because that impacts how you feel. And just remember that self-love is nothing to be ashamed of. I've been posting a few videos online recently about, just like very bold videos about loving myself. Like I got this new outfit in the mail and I filmed it in the mirror like, hello angel, and I was like flexing my quads and stuff. And I've just like posted some other funny things, and I was thinking, man, like some people might see that and be like, God, how could you be so full of yourself? But just remember, a year ago, I felt like not being here. I did not like myself. I didn't talk to myself nice. I just called myself a piece of shit every day. I was like, you don't even know how to do anything. See, they didn't choose you either. You're starting over with nothing. No one wants you. You're not good at anything. You can't, like, just really, really bad self-talk and self-concept. So to me, loving myself, posting those videos, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm so proud of it. But to like average society, they probably think like, oh, that's like a bit unacceptable to talk about yourself like that. But it's better than like needing to call Lifeline all the time in the middle of the night and hyperventilating and feeling not good enough. So self-love is better than the alternative. Number 7, the world shows you more of what you're looking for. So you need to break your thought patterns, and when you may face challenges in life, start to think, how can I get through this, or how can I achieve this, instead of, why is this always happening to me? Because that's the exact changes I've just been going through when my car broke, or when different things have happened. Like, instead of just calling out my family in New Zealand and being like, guess what's happened now? I'm just like, okay, well, what action plan can I put together to do this? Or what is this teaching me? Or what am I getting out of this? And it's just shifting your mindset around it to like a can-do attitude and just how you respond to situations. And I see it a lot with people talking about dating experiences and stuff. If they're like, oh yeah, like all men do this thing, that's all they get shown because they're attracting men that do that. So it's hard to break the cycle when that is all that is happening, but that's what you're looking for and wanting because it's comfortable. So yeah, you need to become aware of that. And last but not least, number 8, to get results you've never had, you need to do things you've never done. I'm sure you've heard that before, and I need to remind myself of that all the time. But even just going into bodybuilding prep, like, I had a different coach and we approached it in a different way, and I even got a meal plan for my first ever time, and having more strategy around things, like including getting into the best shape of my life. So we had data to actually track, but then also I was doing my 2025 planning before, and I realized, in the previous years I'll just write a couple things like my goals. Oh, I want to do this, or I want to achieve this, but it's not necessarily broken down or having timelines or deadlines or working backwards from the goal with small actionable steps. So this time I was like actually laying it out, like, okay, well, if I want this, I need to do this, and then when does that need to be done by, and then like creating kind of a schedule so I can check in with myself throughout the year, rather than just having like this one goal on the wall, but then like, where do you start? Or I'll just have like one bullet point, but having more strategy, which is new to me, and also just being more intentional with your time. Like, I've clocked myself more in the last 2 weeks since becoming more self-aware and just actually wanting change, of just like how often I'll just spend time on my phone, like on messages, like replying to people or flicking between apps and things like that. And especially in the morning, like I would start replying to messages, and I didn't feel like I got a negative impact from social media. Like, I don't really compare myself physically on there or feel negative as such, but I just noticed, like, when I just get up and make my coffee, make breakfast, and like do a few things, just in the last 2 weeks I was like, oh, I haven't even like been on my phone yet, and it's kind of new to me. But just like clocking when I'm wasting time on crap that doesn't matter, and even thoughts that don't matter, emotions that don't matter. If something is triggering you, instead of letting it like take over my day in the middle of the day, can I just postpone that till 5 p.m. so I can think about it later? Which, I don't know if I'm like late to the party in learning that, but I think because I've worked for myself for so many years, I'm used to having the whole day to myself. So if things would pop up, it would like kind of throw the whole day off. But now I've been trying to be intentional with waking up earlier and having a plan for the day, because I get like easily distracted or overwhelmed with 60 things on a to-do list to do in a day. So trying to prioritize and things like that. So now if something pops up that might upset me or something that's just like irrelevant, I just park it for later, or I just think like I don't even have capacity to care. Like I just care less about things. And the last part to this is just trying harder. And that can be hard to hear, and it's finding the balance. And I get so triggered. I noticed a mentor that I'm working with asked me, what are you actually doing to achieve this? And I got fired up. I was like, in my head, I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? And I kind of lost it because I was a bit overwhelmed. And then once I had time to think about it at night, I remembered it took me back to my life in the house last year when I would get a call like, okay, so what have you done today? And that call, like for 2 hours when I knew that it was going to happen, like I couldn't even put it into words because I'm trying to be enough for someone, or like, oh, what if what I've done in a day isn't acceptable to them, or like what if it should have been more or been focused on something else. And for like 2 hours leading up to that moment, I'd be like, oh my god, okay, what am I going to say on the call? Like the make or break question as to whether my relationship would go ahead or not, and if I would be kicked out or not, fell onto that question. What have you done today? So when my mentor asked me, like, what are you actually doing? Maybe because I don't reply fast enough, or like spend a lot of time like messaging or something because I get annoyed typing on my phone. I'm kind of just like doing things in the background. So she's just doing her job. But yeah, just hearing that, what are you actually doing? I'm like, excuse me? But once I put the pieces of the puzzle together, I was like, oh, it's okay. It's just a trigger. And I do actually need to be asking myself that. What am I doing? It's okay to ask that question. So then I like listed out all these things I'm doing to help my life, because we can be busy doing the busy work. Like, yeah, sometimes I'd spend so much time in the supermarket like comparing different brands of things, or like just being out and about doing errands and like wandering around doing stuff like, oh yeah, I had such a busy day today. But I didn't work on the thing that I needed to work on. So what is the answer to that? Oh, maybe waking up a little bit earlier to do those things so I can have my business hours for business hours, or at least like the morning, you know, like until lunchtime. So yeah, try a little bit harder, whether it's at the gym. If my program had an ab circuit in it, I'd be like, okay, well, that's about my time to leave. And I would go home at that point. But now I stay and I try a new exercise, and if I don't know how to do it and I feel really anxious, I just take a little video and I send it to my coach to check my form, just for peace of mind. So just trying a little bit harder. Don't give up so easy. How can you put more into each day and be intentional with your time? So don't forget, I've got the 2025 Higher Self checklist. I'm sure you're going to love it. It will be linked directly below. Don't forget to follow me at Cassie Amber Wellness on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe to the channel if you want more YouTube videos and podcasts like this. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.